Ready for launch.
Okay. Welcome, everyone, to the Cardano Effect podcast, episode 37. The purpose of this podcast is to take high-level developer information and projects that are occurring within the Cardano space and break them down into bite-sized, consumable pieces of information for everyday use. I'm your host, Philippe, and let's get this podcast started. So we have two hosts today. It's Rick and myself, and today's format is a little bit different. Rick is going to be going over the format. It is a live stream. We are live. So we really want to see what critiques you have and what comments that you have after this episode so we can figure out whether or not we want to do this continuously. Maybe we can make it a weekly thing. Maybe we can do it more often. But this should be a fun episode. And we have a couple of rules that we're going to set today. And we're going to try to engage with as many comments as possible. We have a slight delay on the YouTube comments, so we have it pulled up in multiple browsers. So it takes a few seconds to get to us, but we'll try to get to as many questions as possible. I want to remind everyone that episode 36 of the Cardano Effect podcast, it was a recap of what's going on with the Cardano Foundation community managers. We had Ben, Maki, Niels, and Andy on, and it was a great episode. So that was the first time that we've gotten the Cardano Foundation or members from the Cardano Foundation or employees of the Cardano Foundation on the podcast, and hopefully it's not the last. So check that out, episode 36. We're now on episode 37. None of what we say in this podcast is financial advice or should be taken as such. Remember, you are your best financial advisor, and if you don't think you are, you need to find someone who's qualified to do so. With that being said, I hope everyone's having a wonderful morning or afternoon or evening wherever you're located. It's around 11:12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I hope that everyone has a great weekend. For all those that didn't catch the live recording, this will be available as episode 37 on our podcast. So, Rick, how are you doing this morning? What's going on? What's new? Can you run through the format of what we're doing today?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Good morning, Philippe. And so today's format is we're going to go over the Cardano Community Weekly Recap. Like Philippe was saying, we'll do this weekly. What I'm going to cover first is the Reddit top 10 for the week. So we're going to go into Reddit, sort by top and week. Then we're going to go on the Cardano forum and cover the latest 10 on there. We'll use the latest on that. Then we'll go into Twitter and cover the top tweets on Twitter on Cardano. And we've done some looking around, and that will cover a lot of the news in Cardano that's come out for the week. The point of what we're trying to achieve is to give everyone in the Cardano community the opportunity to discuss the news live in person on the chat. So the goal is to use the YouTube chat to be able to convey your thoughts to us. And I'm not going over to the Telegram chat, although I do have that open, but we're going to stick primarily to YouTube. So if you do not have a YouTube account, please make sure you make one and subscribe to our channel, although you don't need to subscribe to engage in the chat. I wanted to pass on a big thank you to our sponsor, IOHK. We very much appreciate what you do for us. We have a really good partnership going there. I also want to point out we've got a Ledger affiliate link down below, and that this podcast is available on Google Play Music, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and SoundCloud. It's available on every major app. Last time I checked, there's about 34 plus apps that are streaming the Cardano Effect podcast. So thank you all for the listeners out there downloading the podcast. And that covers what our weekly recap is. The way we'll do this, we're going to start with the Reddit weekly top 10, reviewing on there, and then we're going to interact with the chat. So we'll first cover what that weekly top 10 is, then go over to the chat and see what's going on there. There's already a lot of information in the chat. This is looking good so far. What do you think, Philippe?
Yes, that sounds good. And we have a couple of ground rules, so this is going to be very fun. It's the two of us today, and any questions, we're going to be answering them. And if what we say is golden here, so if any of the three entities have a problem with what we say or we say something incorrectly, it's correct until proven otherwise. So anyone from Emergo, the Cardano Foundation, or IOHK is welcome to come on the Cardano Effect podcast and correct what we say. But we're going to try to answer the questions to our best of our ability. It may be wrong, but it's right today. So for this hour, it's right until we get corrected. Is that correct?
Yes, it'll be as accurate as possible. What we have to do is, some people they want 100% absolutely accurate information. Well, if you wait until you have 100% accurate, you'll never get any information out. So we'll get the best information out we can in a timely manner that everyone can engage with. And if we have something in error, feel free to let us know in the chat to get us an update in there, and feel free to hit up a link or check Google, because right now Philippe and I have 4 or 5 different apps open. And so if you want to help out, feel free to do so. Let's head over to Reddit, Philippe.
Okay, sounds good. I see a message in YouTube quickly that our audio keeps on fading in and out. Is this from just one user, or are there multiple people having this issue? Drop your comments below. I see it from Gary Dean Mackey. So I don't know if we have an audio issue or...
Yeah, because this Zoom, we tested it last night and it seemed to go pretty well. So if we do see any bugs, we're trying to get the right audio levels. Let us know in the comments so we can get this right the first time or get it right as early as possible. And your feedback is absolutely crucial. For example, Ryan last night and Kyle, they said, hey, check out Zoom. We were looking at options, but, people provided us inputs. We went to Zoom and I love it. It's great. Shout out to Zoom.
Perfect. And I'm getting a lot of comments. We're getting a lot of comments that audio is great. So audio is good. So it may be just that one user. Try refreshing your browser, or maybe changing your, maybe restarting everything and logging back in.
Bandwidth will do too. Where you're at in relation to the Zoom server or the Google server might also cause that issue.
Okay, so we have quite a few stuff that we need to get to. So Rick, let's take it away with the top 10. Let's see what's happening within Cardano for the week.
All right, so I'm on the Reddit, our Cardano. Oh, shout out to our Cardano mods over there. You guys are doing a great job. And moderation is very difficult because you have to balance moderation with censorship. That's what moderation is. But I think it's a fantastic job, Andy, South Ryan, all you awesome mods. Mods are gods over there on Reddit. So our first one here, Ada could... sorted by top past week. The first one is ADA could soon land on Coinbase as Cardano rolls out new developments. And yeah, I think that's an accurate statement, but it's tempered with what is the current state of technology with ADA could soon land on Coinbase. Let's know what your thoughts are in the chat. What do you think, Philippe? I think ADA there's a couple technological benchmarks we're going to have to hit before that happens. What are they?
Well, first of all, we need staking to deploy. So Shelly needs to produce, and we need to be decentralized. That's the word that basically Coinbase has used in order to implement new projects within their platform. So you have to have some sort of decentralization for your project in order to even be considered. And right now, everything is being run with the federated nodes. So once staking releases, there's probably going to be, ADA will probably be added to Coinbase in the future. I know that teams have talked with people from Coinbase in the past, and there is dialogue going around, but at the same time, staking needs to release, and then we can talk about Coinbase. But I don't know, Rick and I are both in the US, and people outside the US underestimate the power of Coinbase and what it means for the entire ecosystem. It basically means that US citizens are going to feel very comfortable investing in ADA. There's speculation about what regulatory standards are in place. And if you're added to Coinbase, the average US consumer will feel safe investing in ADA. So I think that this is extremely positive. So we need to become decentralized. Then we need to be added to Coinbase, and then it's going to roll from there. But I think this is it's inevitable.
Yep. And I think the key technology is the decentralization part of it. Whether or not it's staking, there's other coins that may have some version of staking or not staking. You have other ones like Stellar is on Coinbase. There's a bunch of other ones just recently added there. I think Tezos was recently added.
Yes.
And they either have staking or they have different variations of a consensus protocol.
Yes.
The key was decentralization. If you look at Coinbase, everything on there has some high degree of decentralization or federation, depending on how you look at it.
Yes. And also, I don't know if people are familiar with the coinbase.com/earn program. So all these new coins that have been added to Coinbase, they also have undergone that earn program. So maybe that there's something in the works there. I mean, I think that if you release a coin, you probably have to release some incentives for new users to actually be onboarded onto Coinbase. So maybe there's an earn program for ADA that's coming in the future. So I don't know what you think about that, Rick.
Yeah, that's a way to get new people involved. That's how they engage new people. That's how their Coinbase is going to make money. And Phil Lewis has a comment in the chat. Thank you, Phil, for your comments here. He asks, "Why is Coinbase important? Other options are available." Yes, absolutely. I think Coinbase is important because they have such a high standard of what they list and what they do not list. Other exchanges will list almost anything and everything, which is good. And there are decentralized exchanges, which any person can list any coin. If an exchange requires you to KYC, it is probably not as decentralized as you might think. But on Coinbase, they are very, how do you say, they have very high standards before they will list a coin. So I think that's why people look towards it. And you can buy direct. So you can both buy and trade. You can convert from one coin to another. I sound like I'm selling Coinbase. What the heck? Coinbase, sponsor me.
Yeah,
You can go convert.
I agree. And also, you made a good point about going straight from USD to ADA. And right now, you have to go from BTC or Ethereum, send it to an exchange. I know you can buy it straight with USD on Bittrex, but it's not available for every single state. So that extra step of going from BTC or ETH to another exchange and then exchanging it for ADA is just unnecessary for a lot of people. And I don't know how everyone feels about this, but every time there's a tax law that was released saying that every trade, regardless if you're moving from like crypto assets, it's taxable. So, people are trying not to get taxed either. So trying to go as direct as possible without taking any other intermediary steps.
Yes, and that explains, Philippe, exactly what I do is I will trade from ETH to Ethereum Classic, or I'll buy Ethereum Classic or Stellar on Coinbase, and I can trade between Ethereum Classic and Stellar, right? I can go
Yes.
straight from one to the other and pay one lower fee instead of bigger fee. When I want to buy Cardano, I got to get my ETH on Coinbase, send it to Bittrex, and then trade on Bittrex. And there's little bits. You're losing little bits of Satoshis every step along the way.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. So yeah, I think that's good. Do we have any more comments about Coinbase?
yeah, Mass Adaption says, Mass Adaption is helping answer Phil's question. Thank you, Mass Adaption. All right. And Coinbase is an on-ramp for crypto. Now, there's one on the top comment. We'll go back over to Reddit. The one of the most upvoted comments is one Reddit user commented. I'm not going to read out the Reddit user names because they didn't volunteer, but it is public. One Reddit user commented, holders of ADA will be able to lock their coins up in a staking pool. Keyword lock in a staking pool. The reply was, coins are not locked. They're delegated. Coins will not be locked in ADA. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for that reply, Velvia 695, for keeping people well trained on Reddit. Ready for the next one?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. All right. You want to take this one, and I'll check chat.
Okay, so the next one is from Adatainment, and it was a post saying that you have a passion for Cardano when your office has its own Cardano shelf. Meet the Adatainment shelf. So Adatainment has a YouTube channel and puts out great content. So there's a whole bunch of merchandise. I see a collective coin and Tangem card and collective bill. So there's a lot of merchandise that you can buy over at Crypto Supreme. That's the only store that sells Cardano merchandise. I don't know if we wanted to touch on that any more. We had the foundation on last week, and it was really interesting because I asked them directly, can other people sell merchandise? And the answer was basically no. So that was a little bit bothersome to me because I know that there are a lot of people that have a lot of creative ideas that may want to open up merch shops with ADA logos or certain, yes, or dataless logos or whatever it may be. And they're just not able to do that. And Crypto Supreme, of course, is the only store that can, but it's run by Charles's assistant. So he probably has a free pass in that sense. But I would not open up a merch store unless you probably want to get a cease and desist letter from the foundation in the future. But hopefully they change their mind in the future because it's really a community-driven project, and it's unfortunate that people can't monetize their merch or have plans to monetize merch.
The last information I got on that, Philippe, was from, I remember seeing a post from Mackie where she said that they are working on a fair use policy, a new one, because there was a fair use policy put out last year, but I think it wasn't enforced or wasn't well known to the community. But I think as Cardano continues to grow and people want to engage in merchandise. Now, people are doing it anyway. So, yeah,
Yes.
and Crypto Supreme might be a great platform for the Cardano effect to launch merchandise on.
Yes, yes, yes. So we have a couple of chat questions, Rick.
Yeah, let me head back over there and check. I've got a couple too many windows open. For the last one from Coinbase was, is Coinbase waiting for an end product? No, I think their end product is selling tokens.
Yes.
And from Tim Baca, he says, think about the impact of ADA's value when we are on 400 exchanges like Ethereum. Yes. You know what, Tim, I'm glad you brought that up, because one thing Philippe and I are doing with podcasts and YouTube is, at least some things we've talked about, is be great to see more and more YouTubers coming to Cardano and promoting Cardano. For example, CryptoVisor recently started doing more on Cardano and putting Cardano in the headlines. And it's a big, giant ocean out there. And the goal is, in 2 years, we hope to have as many YouTubers on Cardano as they have on Ethereum and Bitcoin, because Ethereum and Bitcoin and EOS, EOS has multiple YouTubers with significant number. Well, I shouldn't just say multiple YouTubers. They have multiple podcasts,
Yes, yes.
and yeah,
And
Bitcoin.
back to the exchange question, it's very interesting, because if you analyze the top 10 or top 20 cryptos and you see how many exchanges that they're listed on compared to their volume, Cardano actually has not a lot of exchanges compared to other crypto projects in the top 10. Well, it's just outside the top 10 right now, but pound for pound, it's doing pretty well depending on how you look at the exchange rate versus the volume. So in the future, they're going to be added to more exchanges. So there's obviously a correlation between that and market cap. And I did a video on my channel analyzing how much each exchange actually adds to the market cap. And so it's inevitable that in the future, more exchanges will be added. And I think the foundation, that's one of their goals, to start building on more exchanges and building relationships with more exchanges. I know that there were a lot of exchanges at the summit. So, I don't know what closed doors meetings are happening, but I anticipate that in the future, things are going to rapidly accelerate.
Yes. And on that note, keep in mind, for any of our future guests, if you have an NDA, we will never ask you that question. If you have an NDA, and if you ever hit decline, we will not say that you have declined. So that way our guests feel comfortable either coming on the podcast or declining, and they're perfectly content. We won't be doing that kind of stuff. So Philippe and I, what we're trying to do is get this podcast in under an hour for people who are dialing in later on in the day, or maybe in the Asian time zone. That way they can get through the podcast within a reasonable amount of time. So we're going to go on to the fourth.
Rick, we have a quick Reddit question. It says, Rick recently stated that he was unsure if Shelly would drop by 2020. Since Charles says he's changed his diet, if that didn't happen, what reasons can Rick give? And I think the diet was the shoe. So,
okay. Yeah, I did not. Okay.
Go through your timeline of what you think the probability that Shelly will release.
Yes, sir. Okay. So here's how I do. I do everything in confidence levels. So I didn't say I was unsure. You can't say 100%. There's no such thing as 100%. Okay. So what I do is I use confidence levels. Right now, I'm at 80% confident that Shelly will release by December. In the month of August, if the networking technology releases on the Jormungandr testnet, then my confidence level will go back up to 90% for a December release. If the networking portion of Jormungandr does not release on the testnet in the month of August, my confidence level will drop from 80 to 70%. So it's a scale. It's a sliding scale. That way you can have it's soft words. It's not hard words like yes, it will, or no, it won't. You put a percentage on your confidence. Here's the kicker. If your confidence level drops below 50%, it's worthless, because at that point it flip a coin. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
Once confidence goes below 50%, then so we're at 80%, still pretty good shape. Okay.
Yes.
That's
I mean, it's not a lie that there have been delays with Cardano, the project, and certain aspects and goals and milestones that haven't been hit yet. And it's understandable that people are curious of whether or not they're going to be hit, because this is very important. decentralization and getting staking out, it's been said for a while now. And I think that IOHK is putting in a lot of work to get it done. We don't have a lot more time in the year. It's already August, and we have September, October, November, December. So we have like 4 or 5 months, but you have to remember that at the end of Q4, most employees for businesses, it kind of the work kind of tapers off because of vacationing. So we have a good 3-4 months to really see if we can push it. So October, November-ish, if we don't get some kind of, we're like 10% away from getting things complete, then, confidence levels can probably drop as well. So things will probably not be released until 2020. And Charles was on the podcast saying that Goguen smart contracts will be releasing 1 quarter after staking is deployed. So if it's Q4, then we can expect smart contracts in Q1. If staking is released in Q1 of 2020, then smart contracts in Q2. So, it would be nice to get staking this year, especially I've seen some turnaround in the markets as far as, Bitcoin's price is appreciating, but eventually there's going to be an altcoin run. And when that happens, Cardano will be treated fairly, but will be even treated more fairly if we have staking, we have decentralization, we're added to Coinbase. If all these features are in the bag, people are going to be staking their coins and there's going to be less supply out there. So price will increase, and that's not financial advice.
Yes, never financial advice on the Cardano effect. All right, thank you, Philippe. We're going to roll over to number 4, then we'll come back over to chat because there are some really good points in chat.
Okay.
This is working out well, but one thing Philippe and I will have to do is learn how to pace what we're reading versus what we're getting out of the chat to keep you guys engaged and get your information out there.
Yes.
The 4th one on here, I'm sorry, wait, we're on number 3.
Yes.
Breaking was the first look at Daedalus. The delegation set up Wizard Daedalus that was posted by Trade Feeds. Thank you, Trade Feeds, for being so active. And if you go into that link and you select GitHub Input Output Hong Kong, it shows you the delegation wizard for Daedalus. Screenshots. Remember, those are developer level screenshots. It's still a work in progress, so it might not be the exact end result, but it gives you a really good idea. This is pretty far along. This software, this screenshot is coming from. This isn't like PowerPoint magic, or is it? I don't know. Maybe it is, but it doesn't look like it anyway. Of what this delegation process is going to look like, they don't.
It looks very cool, and they're the UI team, the front end of Daedalus team is working extremely hard. We had Marcus Herney; he's a front end developer for the Daedalus project. They're working really hard to make sure that it is as aesthetically pleasing as possible. If you went to the summit, if you're looking at GitHub, you're going to see that when staking goes live, it's set up like, let's say there are 1,000 staking pools. Each of them have a little ticker, kind of like a stock ticker. So say you have pool A, you can just name it your little stock ticker symbol. And this is really helpful because you can also hover over that particular stake pool, and it will give you the health, the uptime, all the metrics that you need to know in order to make an informed decisions to delegate to a stake pool. So it's going to be a very competitive process, and the people delegating to the stake pool are going to have the most fun because you're really figuring out where your money is going to be, where your returns are going to be the greatest. Your ROI, you're going to be able to measure everything. So you're going to be actively involved in the process. So I recommend that you download Daedalus. Download it from daedaluswallet.io. Get familiar with the platform because staking, when it comes, it's going to come. And I don't want you to miss one day of rewards or one epoch of rewards. So make sure that you're ready to go. And Yodoi will have staking as well. I'm not sure if it's going to come one day, the day of staking on Daedalus, but it will come. So figure out your money moves, figure out what you're planning to do, and figure out where you're going to be able to carry your money the furthest.
Yeah, I always have a plan if it's going to go down and have a plan for if it's going to go up. I also have a plan for it's going to go sideways. There's 3 options there. As far as the staking, it would be interesting, Philippe. This didn't come up in the questions or Reddit, but if Cardano or Ouroboros had a technology where there's a default staking pool, where if you fail to delegate your stake over some period of time and it's just sitting there doing nothing, it just auto defaults to one particular pool until the user goes in and changes it, because there's a lot of people that bought in during the last bull run. I don't think they're very active right now, and they won't become active until there's a headline on a newspaper that says, Cardano hits $1 or something.
Yes,
like that. So it would be interesting to have some type of auto default like that.
Yes. And, this is going to be a lot of fun. That auto default process would be awesome. And everyone needs to be reminded that epochs are 5 days long. So people are going to be getting paid quite often. So there's going to be a lot less incentive for people to pull out their stake after the end of an epoch, because the logic is going to be, let me just wait another 5 days and get my rewards and continue, and maybe pull out slight rewards here and there. But it's not like there's a 90-day lockup period or a 180-day lockup period. You can pull out your funds in the middle of an epoch. You won't get your rewards, but you can pull out your funds whenever. A lot of these coins out there, they have this, let's hold your coins for 10 years and then come back in 10 years and see what your rewards you have. But you don't even know if the project's going to be available then. So you're going to be able to get in and out. But at the same time, the project itself is designed to keep you in. So that is going to really appreciate the price, not financial advice. It's just basic, just supply and demand economics. So
yeah, watch what happens when the staking is available at the end of an epoch. Watch the block explore and watch how many moves occur. That'll tell you, that might provide you cues as to your next move. I don't know what that move is, but
exactly,
that's going to be interesting. Oh my gosh, we could probably do a podcast every 5 days. Look what's happening.
Yeah,
that'd be crazy.
We plan to have some kind of launch we'll have some kind of epic live stream when staking is released, to make sure that it's as epic as possible, because it's going to be a very exciting process. And Rick and I have been involved with the project for a long time. I know a lot of the viewers now have been involved with for a long time, but even if you're new, this has been a journey, and there have been ups and downs, but things are getting done, and hopefully they finish sooner than later. So no pressure on any of the teams, though. I know they're working hard.
Yeah. All right, cool. Hey, let's go to the next Reddit question, just to keep time here. If I'm rushing things, please let me know in the chat. I don't want to rush it, but I do want to keep time. So we're in the next one. Philippe, the fourth one down. We'll just go one back and forth.
Okay. So are we on the fourth Reddit question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cardano.
So Cardano's Hoskinson, crypto leading a global awakening. This was posted by CryptoVisor. So I did not watch this video, but I'm assuming that this is from an article. I did not see that article either. So I don't know. Do you want to speak on that, Rick?
No, but I will talk with CryptoVisor in general. This guy does fantastic videos. If you're not subscribed to his channel, go check out his channel. And there's another one of his videos that comes up in one of the other things. And I'm like, oh, wow, where'd this one come from? Did it just pop up on here? But it's not. It's on here for 7 days. The cool thing about what CryptoVisor does is he cross-pollinates, because he'll do a newscast he'll hit Cardano, then he'll hit like another subject out there in the exchanges, in the crypto world in general. Then he'll hit another cryptocurrency technology. And what happens is his videos are appealing to lots of different people, not just Cardano people. That way you have Cardano people reaching out and seeing the other information. I mean, everybody does that naturally anyway, but you also have people who are not necessarily in Cardano going, oh, what's that about? And that'll kind of like lead them in, you know what I mean? Yes. So I think it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant the way CryptoVisor does those videos.
Yes, it's an asset, because you look at someone like CryptoLark who covers so many different projects, and it will get exposure to different communities who may have not heard of the project before. And Rick and I tend to be kind of siloed within Cardano, so we don't necessarily appeal to people outside of our particular community. So it's important for people to bridge that gap between other communities, and there are quite a few YouTubers that do that.
Yeah, Philippe and I like to specialize. You kind of got two options. You can either specialize or you can do broad. If you do broad, you're going to have a much more greater subscribership. We're trying to specialize, knowing what Cardano is going to be 2 years from now, 3 years from now, that these videos will pay dividends when newcomers come in over the next couple of years. So
personally, I don't have the time to be invested in 10, 20 projects. There's just too much crap out there. There are top tier blue chip level crypto projects out there, and Cardano is one of them. It's not the only one. There are other ones as well, but pick a blue chip and stick with it, because and that's Bitcoin including. So pick a blue chip and stick with it. These smaller ones, it's very risky unless you're ready to lose your money, go for it. And I wanted to do a quick off the thought ramble, because I see this a lot. Everyone says, invest just as much as you're ready to lose. And while that is true, it's very important for you not to lose a thing, because even though I invest more than I'm ready to lose, because I'm not ready to lose anything. But if I do lose something, I know that it's going to be with a blockchain that has potential or is trying to do something. So don't lose your money on just a gamble. Maybe lose your money on something that has a little bit more perspective, and give yourself the best chance, because it is difficult out there. And, we're all trying to gain a certain level of financial freedom or augment our current lifestyles. And, you have to be able to, whatever your income is, you have to be able to put a significant amount of money in order to expect significant returns. So I'll leave it at there.
Thank you, Philippe. No, that was good. And there's a lot more information we go to. I don't want to go into 3 rants in a row. So we'll just, we'll leave it at that. And let me jump back over to Reddit.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for that post. Oh, I lose track of where I'm at sometimes. Thank you for that post, CryptoVisor. Next one is the Plutus ebook is released. This is what I love about this news format. Plutus ebook is released. Emergo put out a Plutus ebook. This post was from user Chowdo Rafiki, and there's an article on Crypto Slate. You also see it in the Emergo announcement channel that there is a Plutus ebook, which is great. A few people commented that, why isn't it free? Well, it costs money to print paper, and Emergo is a private business. I'm not like making excuses for Emergo, but I do wear an Emergo shirt sometimes, and they got to make money. That Plutus book, if Plutus is successful with smart contracts like we anticipate, that will fund Emergo, so Emergo can do more and expand. Then they do more and expand. That will fund Emergo. Then they can do more and expand, and that will fund Emergo. You get where I'm going with that?
Yes.
That's why I want to charge money for the book, because that Plutus is, it could replace Solidity, or it run in parallel at a very high level of quality. That's probably a better way of putting it. Run in parallel with Solidity at a high level.
Yes. And I also like to add that if you go on Amazon, the author of the Plutus book is Lars and Polina. So they're IOHK employees. So it's not necessarily written by IOHK themselves or Emergo themselves. This could be a side project from Lars and Polina, who ran the Haskell class over in Ethiopia. So they're more than welcome to try to generate revenue or generate income as a side project or a side business while they're working for IOHK. So I think that's very important.
Yeah, you know what I didn't do? I didn't look at the price of the book, but at some point, it probably doesn't even matter what the price of the book is.
$9 on Kindle.
Oh my gosh, that's cheap. That's cheap. I mean, you've seen college textbooks.
Yes, exactly.
Those things are like $120.
Exactly.
Yeah, $9 on Kindle. You can't ask for better than that.
And I'm sure if you're like a Prime member, you could probably get some kind of discount on your Kindle book or something. So yeah, $9 is not a bad price whatsoever.
Yeah, it's an ebook. I mean, it's not on paper, so you don't have to pay for printing the paper, but that's good. All right, so that was next one. We're on the number 5, 6, 7. We're on the Cardano Foundation. Go for it, Philippe.
Okay, so Cardano Foundation. The Cardano Foundation earned the title of unicorn again. The optimism in the crypto valley returned. I did not read this article, so I don't know if you want to speak on that. I'm not sure what they're referring to as the title of unicorn. I don't know. Rick, do you have anything to say about that?
No, I don't. There was a comment in chat, though, that we'll come back to that, where I saw Mass Adaption say, guys, the David Esser question will fall out of the top 10 because it was recently posted, but can you guys comment on this? Yes, we can comment on that because I saw it when I first pulled it up, and I was like, ooh, that's a really good question. So yes, Mass Adaption, we will. Now, as far as the Cardano Foundation earned the title of unicorn again, that was on the todaysgazette.com. So that was another reporter gave that title. So to understand the context of the article, you would have to drill down into why the author, who is Victoria Tebevenia, who published the article and gave it that title. And what she goes on to say is that according to the latest data, the Crypto Valley continues to grow rapidly, and the main cities of Crypto Valley are in Zug, Zurich, Geneva, Ticino, Liechtenstein, and Vaud. And it's here where the business unicorns are located. So it depends on the term that the author is using, unicorn. and other candidates the title of unicorn. What I use when we used unicorn in the military, it means it doesn't exist. Okay, something does. If you call it a unicorn, it doesn't exist. I don't know what the context is. I'm going to just check to see what the Reddit comments are. Where down below, Caramel Covered Karma. I love those names. Caramel Covered Karma says so. Basically, the Cardano Foundation got the title of unicorn because the ADA market cap is over 1 billion and they're located in Switzerland. Is that what this article is trying to say?
Yeah.
What has the foundation actually done for ADA?
Yeah.
They're doing a lot of stuff now. There was a gap last year where with the Parsons incident, we had this big gap. I think the ball has been recovered. There's been a lot of rebuilding, and we're seeing a lot of activity with Nathan Kaiser out there, and they recently got Heinrich on board and Bakkeet. They're very active. They're very, I see pictures of them talking in front of groups of people, and it's that personal face-to-face time that they're getting with these other groups of people that I think is really helpful. I don't have any other comments on that article. If anybody has a comment on the article, please let me know as I find my way back to where I was at. Okay, here we are.
Mass Adaption said unicorn normally means unique. So, and Brian says, I saw a massive unicorn in Silicon Valley as a startup that's worth $1 billion. It's $1 billion idea. Well, you know, the market cap is over 1 billion for all three entities combined that hold their ADA. So I wouldn't say the Cardano Foundation is worth $1 billion, and you can't rip $1 billion off of ADA right now. It would just, there are not enough sellers. It would tank the price completely. So either the article is wrong or yeah.
And you know what, Philippe, you bring up a good point because not to go off on a tangent, but it's really hard to 51% attack ADA just because the market cap, let's say it's 1.4 billion. That doesn't mean if you acquire 700 million, you can 51% attack Cardano or ADA. By the time you got to the 700 million, you would have forced the price so high that you can't ever get there. It's that halfway the distance problem. If you go halfway the distance, halfway and halfway and halfway, you'll never get there. Same problem going up. You get halfway to the market cap and you're going to drive the price up so high that it becomes very unreasonable for you to try to attack it.
Yes, cool. Exactly.
Okay, so what's our next Reddit one? Was the break? Is there anything on chat? Let's check chat. Good on chat.
Let's check chat.
Unicorns in Nashville are natives born here. Okay, unicorns mean unique. Okay. All right, looks good. And we'll go back over to Reddit, top 10. The next one we are on is breaking Cardano SL 3.0.3 integration release 0.14.0 is announced on GitHub. Yes, it was. If you go on the testnet, you can download Daedalus 0.14.0. There are multiple testnets. There are at least 4 Lenovo in parallel. There's a Jormungandr testnet. There's a Daedalus testnet. And I consider Marlow and the Plutus Playground as other separate testnets. But there's one, if you download the link, you go into GitHub here, or you follow the links to the Daedalus testnet, you can get a preview of the 0.14.0 Daedalus, which is Cardano SL 1.6. I don't know what the 3.0.3 integration is, but it's SL, or it's Cardano 1.6. So I guess it's the SL. Okay, there's the names. Cardano 1.6, SL 3.0, Daedalus 0.14.
Yes.
All right, there we go.
Yes.
Whew.
Sounds good.
Okay.
And this next Reddit post kind of just jumps off the back of the previous Reddit post because it's Cardano testnet release, and it links to a Medium article from Paradigm Fund. And this is interesting because Paradigm Fund is, from what I've understood, it is like an investment company, and they invest in certain crypto projects. And I believe that all the projects that they cover, they may have some sort of stake within that particular fund. So it was started by, I believe, I don't want to misquote, but the co-founder of Coinbase went off and did his own thing and created an investment fund. It might not be this investment fund, but I think it's Paradigm. So if that's the case and they're posting about Cardano, chances are that they have some sort of stake. And like we had Umed on this podcast, and smart money is going to go to smart projects. So don't be surprised if institutional money goes into projects like Cardano, or if it's already not here and just waiting to accumulate more.
Yes, and to meet that article, they also said that Cardano is becoming available on KuCoin, which also relates to one of our commenters in the chat said that ADA is on 96 exchanges. Let me scroll up. It's in there somewhere. Oh yeah, there it is. Tim Baca. Cardano is currently on 96 exchanges. Thank you, Tim.
Yes.
It's awesome.
Yes.
All right, navigating back to the front page. We've been rolling here for about 45 minutes. Okay. The next one on our list, we've got two more on the Reddit top 10. The next one is combating deep fakes. And if you're not familiar with what a deep fake is, that's the digital photography and video editing is becoming so good nowadays that you can fake anything. Like someone could create evidence that is me committing a crime that I did not commit. And you try to look at the deep fake, you can't tell what it is. So what the Reddit user posts is, hello all, I've been hearing more and more about deep fakes and the threat they pose to society. It seems to me that there could be a DApp on Cardano that would allow viewers to authenticate that whatever video they're watching is from a legitimate source. I don't have the technical knowledge to imagine exactly how this would work, but it seems like the credentialing ability of Cardano would be a perfect application. Has there been any discussion from IOHK or the foundation on pursuing something like this? Thanks. Interesting concept.
Yeah, that would be an interesting concept. I mean, there's going to be, if you can do land registry and identity verification on blockchain, then there's no reason why something like this couldn't exist. You can have some sort of QR code that syncs with your particular key. And when you post something, that authenticates that it's actually you doing that. So I think that would be a very good use case, actually, because as technology improves, those things are just going to get more and more realistic. So that could definitely deter a lot of crime.
Yeah. And I'm wondering how it would be. Would it be like metadata attached to the photo or the video that says this video is authentic? I don't know how that would work. But there's smart people out there to figure that stuff out.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's hope smart people figure that out. I think it's a good idea.
That's a great idea. That is a great idea. Great idea.
Yeah, if you can figure out how Ouroboros works, you can probably figure out how to tag something to validate if it's a fake or not.
Yes.
Oh, all right. So let's see what we got. Anything else in chat coming up there? ADA will be valuable when Goguen will be launched. After ADA, will have some use cases.
Yes.
I think that's a good statement. It will be value added. It will add value. I won't put a number on it, but I think it will certainly help.
Yes. Oh, definitely. I mean, on my personal channel, I've just been speculating about potential use cases for Cardano, and it's really been up in the air because I'm just looking at it as a spectator. So we need these things to come out so we can actually see and implement certain transactions and implement contracts to see exactly what the capabilities are. I know that there's the test net and there are a couple examples. You can make an escrow, you can do certain games, but we want to see the live product and see exactly what developers want. And it's going to take a lot of synergy between the business owners and the actual developers to create ideas, because the business owners are going to have to generate businesses and the developers are going to have to code those smart contracts into Plutus. So it's going to be a mix between both parties.
Yeah, and that also ties into the question from Wayne Morgan, who says, are any APIs out there for e-commerce with ADA? And the answer is yes. As far as I understand APIs, again, not a software engineer, but things like Sire, where you can, the way Sire works, and also now Yoroi has the ability to generate payment links. All of these are the tiny pieces are coming together to build more and more e-commerce application.
Yes.
And if anyone wants to come on the Cardano Effect, who can explain more about APIs and e-commerce and things like that, feel free to do so. Like we do the Cardano Effect this time of day. It's 1 o'clock in the morning out in Japan for Sebastian, so we don't have him on here. We just give him a pass and say, hey, I wouldn't come on at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
Although we've done 4:30 in the morning.
Yes, we've done 4:30 in the morning. Yeah. So
1 o'clock in a house full of people, you don't want to be doing stuff like that. Yeah. All right,
yeah. So you want to move on to the next Reddit post?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So this one is from Darth Prometheus. So this is from you, Rick. Quick preview of Daedalus 0.14 on Cardano 1.6. And you released that on July 31st, 2019. So if you're not familiar with Digital Fortress, that's Rick's channel. And he does some great technical videos. He does great videos, great content. So explaining exactly what are the new features, how to exactly install certain applications, how to make sure that your funds are safe, videos like that. And in the future, Rick and I talked about when there are future releases for Daedalus, we're thinking about doing live episodes on the Cardano effect, walking people through exactly what to do and asking live questions and making sure that everyone is as comfortable as possible moving from step A to step B. Because you have to be very careful when you're moving your funds and make sure that everything that you're doing is correct. It's on you to make sure that your funds are safe. So check out the user video on Digital Fortress and go to that channel and check that video out. It was great.
Yeah, and if people are interested, we could do a Cardano 1.6, a Daedalus 0.14 live stream because there's a lot of user interface enhancements. They are subtle, but they're very good. And they're also, I think they're kind of important because they show you the wallet booting up. These indicators turn green or red as it's booting. You select the indicator. If it's not working or if it is working, you can select it anyway. And it pulls up a system status overlay and tells you what's going on. So it'll help users work that out in the wallet. There's some other interesting changes in there also where it shows UTXO distribution, and UTXO is very difficult to understand. So rather than look at a bunch of crazy numbers, it has a bar graph showing you that when you got more UTXO distribution, your transactions are going to become more expensive. And if you see your bar graph starting to spread, you can say, oh, I need to kind of like defragment your wallet and bring them all back together if you want. But yeah, that's the basic idea. So if people are interested, let me know in the chat if you want us to put that out there. And we're probably going to do it anyway because it's a very graphical change. And it was very, very nice upgrades. On that.
Yes.
It's got feng shui. All right. So Philippe, I think
that's 10. Let's address the David Esser question and then go to the chat and get some questions because we have just a few more minutes here.
You were reading my mind.
Okay, perfect.
Which there's not much to read, but I get what you're saying. All right. So I'm going to switch back over to the Cardano. God, I'm doing this wrong. Hot, new. Uh-oh, I'm using the wrong words here. The David Esser question. Where's David Esser? There it is. Okay. All right, Philippe, you can take this one, buddy.
Okay, so the David Esser question basically says, I'm a huge fan of the Cardano project. In the Cardano Effect podcast, episode 32, David Esser told the audience to continually check the Cardano roadmap website for more content and more status on a regular basis. Obviously, the testnet was later announced, but no new updates have been posted on cardanorodmap.com/updates since June 19th. Yes, the community can check all the development work being done on GitHub. It's awesome. But don't tell the community that you'll be constantly adding updates to the roadmap if you're not. It's misleading. That being said, long live Cardano. And Rick, did you want to start this discussion?
Yes, and don't quote Philippe for saying those last quotes. That's Reddit. He's reading that from Reddit.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that wasn't our Cardano effect comments. However, yeah, my only comments on that is I love having David Esser on this podcast. We get a massive number of views. I think he's a superstar. I think they're very busy lately, but I don't know the inside details because Philippe and I have no inside knowledge of what goes on inside IOHK. They are our sponsor, but they don't answer to us and we don't answer to them.
Yes.
But I love having David Esser on here, and I think everybody else does too.
Yes.
And, we can't, if we need more superstars up there in leadership, and I got to tell you, crypto leadership is fantastic. And I'm so glad to have David Esser on here. And I'll give you an example, like Vitalik Buterin, Dan Larimer, Charles Hoskinson, Pompliano, all of these leaders in crypto, y'all are my heroes because they are willing to get in the ring and fight. And whether you think they are right or wrong, I admire their ability to get in the ring and fight. And David Esser is one of those guys too. He gets out there in public and he's come on the Cardano effect. And so he is the product manager. He's the senior product manager. So I'm sure there's tons of work involved with managing that product because there are hundreds of employees. But there was a comment about doing live with demonstrations and there hasn't been any yet.
So, I think I want to take the blame away from David Esser. Obviously, it could be, I don't know, but David is great and we love him on the podcast. But he is the product manager, so products have to be built and deployed before he comes and basically tells the community what's going on. So if the updates are not being pushed through, there's no way he can actually come and inform the community of what's happening. So I think this is more indicative that maybe the projects that are happening behind the scenes and the pushes that need to move forward actually need to move forward in order for people to come and talk about the product. Because we did have a Cardano Effect podcast where we had Duncan Coots on and we did talk about the hard fork that's supposed to be coming up, and it has yet to be implemented. So, and that was a while ago. And the premise of that video was that the hard fork was going to come very shortly after. So, and it's been months or a couple months. I might be slightly exaggerating. So once those things happen, I think that things will be able to be pushed forward and David Esser will be able to do these AMAs and give the community what they want.
Yes. And I think also something to be alert to, and I'm not trying to be the pimp for, IOHK, but I can do that kind of stuff. Anyway, the Daedalus 1.6 is it's completely new code now. From Daedalus 1.0, all the code has been changed out. So the new code it's layered better and scales better. And if there's any software engineers who understand it better than I do, please pipe up. Feel free to pipe up in the chat and I'll make sure I read that out. But the newest code is designed so much better to scale and layer and all that kind of cool stuff, whatever that is, over the 1.0. So I'm expecting to see an avalanche of once new stuff starts coming out. And there's 4 parallel efforts going on right now. If you look on the Cardano roadmap, there is Byron's done. And the last update was a Byron update. But you have Shelley, Voltaire, Basho, and Goguen all going on simultaneously. There are parts of Goguen that are ready for launch. It's not it's not a pipeline where, okay, now that we have Byron, you can start doing Shelley. No, they're building all the other stuff at the same time.
Yes.
Not different stages. And there's still papers coming out. Some papers have been revised, Ouroboros Crypsidis, and there's a couple other papers out there too. So I hope we addressed the David Esser thing, because this morning when I first pulled it up and did a sort, it was very high in the list, and there was a lot of activity on that.
Yes.
And
I think you did that question justice. And yes, that's good.
Yeah,
Rick, we have a few more minutes. Let's jump to YouTube comments and try to answer as many questions as possible. Let's do some kind of speed round. So just take them and let's answer them.
Yeah, and there's a last few points mass adaption brought up in the chat, and then we'll pop over to that. And John Hanish says, do you guys have any new information on IOHK moving headquarters to Wyoming? Is there any sort of timeline they're talking about? And John, my answer to that is on their Twitter, it says Wyoming.
Yeah.
I think they're moved. I think they did it. I think it's a done deal.
Yes. I have a feeling it's a done deal. I think that's good. That's good moving forward, because, if we're represented in the US and we're going to try to push the ball forward for crypto, there's a lot of anti-crypto regulation out there. And if IOHK feels comfortable moving into the US, and Wyoming is a very crypto friendly state, I think this is the way to do it. So it's perfect.
All right, so I'm hopping over to the forum, and based on the timeline, we might have to do the forum top 3. Is that fair enough?
That's fine.
Okay, we'll just do the forum top 3, although there's a lot of activity on the forum. So I went to the Cardano forum, forum.cardano.org, select the hamburger in the top right, sort by latest. I'll watch what'll happen. People go on there and start spamming it, and it'll start moving around. So don't do that to me yet. Just give me a few minutes. So what do we have at the top, Philippe? What I'm seeing at the top is how do I justify the value of ADA and the net worth of investors? I see that as number one. Do you copy?
Yes, yes. I guess I could touch on that because I released that video, and basically the premise of the video was how we're going to realize what the correct market cap or what the correct price in the future for ADA is. And I was comparing it with regular companies in the legacy system like Amazon and Apple, and how they own a whole bunch of subsidiary companies underneath them. And the premise of this video was the idea that there are going to have to be businesses built within Cardano in order to justify the valuation of Cardano. It's not just going to be speculating on the price, because that's, we can do that with Bitcoin. And I think there are just a handful of assets that you can do that with, that I don't want to speak and offend any Bitcoiners, but that have no necessarily their intrinsic value. You can get better deals outside of sending Bitcoin, for example. Like you can send money if you're in a Western country with Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, and there are no fees, and you don't have to worry about the dollar depreciating 15% over a particular day. Bitcoin has its advantages. But back to what I was saying, I digress. We're going to have to build businesses within Cardano using smart contracts in order to justify the valuation of Cardano. And I don't think there's anything, if there are no businesses built in 2 years and smart contracts have been released and staking is live, then the project is not worth much, even if the valuation may be high, but it's not worth much. Otherwise, it's just some sort of speculating platform, and all crypto is speculative, but we'll see. I don't know. What are your thoughts about that, Rick?
I think we'll see when Cardano goes decentralized and people start doing heavy loads of transaction and there's a bull run. When those two things collide, bull run and decentralized. If Cardano can handle a large amount of transactions and still keep the price down, because right now it's less than a fraction of a penny for a transaction, that will be the proof right there. That will tell people, oh yeah, it's still running fast, the price is cheap, and it's under heavy load.
Exactly.
That's where the technology kicks in right there.
Yes, yes. And the number of transactions directly affects, it has a direct relationship with the proportion of ADA rewards that you receive from staking. So the more transactions that happen within a given epoch, a 5-day period, means the higher staking rewards for you. So if businesses are not being built, then transactions are just going to be subjected to people that are investing and sending ADA from Binance to Bittrex or Binance to maybe Coinbase in the future. It's just going to be us transacting. And there's a limit, there's a cap on how many transactions that's going to be. But if we're building businesses and building ideas and building dApps within it, then people are going to be transacting with ADA on a day-to-day basis or minute-to-minute basis. And the epochs are going to fill up. Your staking rewards will go up. People will be incentivized to stake even more. It's an endless feedback loop. So price will increase. You're going to be staking your ADA. Transactions will increase. Your staking rewards will go up. More people will be incentivized to hold ADA longer term. It's a feedback loop that never stops going. And that's my vision for Cardano in the future.
And that was a good video. So if anybody's interested, make sure you go over to Philippe's channel on Philpa and check that out, because he goes into more detail. And his passion for his videos is what keeps the viewers coming back. All right. Number 2 on the list. Thank you, Philippe. Number 2 is, are you planning a Cardano community meetup? If you're not on the Cardano forum, please go on there and check it out. There's information you can find on the forum about planning a meetup. This post is from Denny B 2010. That's Denicio from the Cardano Community Podcast. And his questions are you planning a Cardano community meetup? Come on the Ada Voice and share. It's an old post from the Ada Voice, but it's the Cardano Community Podcast. And share your experience with the community. We would love to hear your story and share your excitement. And you can email us. Okay, so check out their latest information on the Cardano Community Podcast. And if you want to go on to their program, you can check that out. That was let me see make sure I'm still on the latest, because they did move a little bit. It did move. So someone bumped one while I was talking 3 minutes ago.
Okay.
So So it was, can I send ADA from my Euro Ledger wallet on Chrome? The answer is yes. That's the one that bumped up to 3 minutes ago.
Okay.
So we had your video, how to justify ADA. Number 2 was from Denisio. Are you planning the community meetup? Go check them out on the Cardano Community Podcast. And then number 3 is the fourth one now.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
You guys got me.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that. I see that. So you can send your ADA from your Euro Ledger wallet.
Yeah. So it looks like the fourth one that was on there was how to enable the API bulk addresses and UTXO endpoint in the Cardano Explorer. The answer is, I don't know. And ask Tommy from Edutainment. He'll probably know. Tommy just did the absolute best video I have ever seen ever on any explainer for Cardano. He did the 4 address types, the base type, the enterprise type, and the other stuff. And I was expecting one of those to bubble up, but it did not bubble up here. But we need to, that was 3. So we hit our top 3. Okay. So just shout out to Tommy. Go check out the 4 address types. You will love it. That is a great video.
Okay. Rick, let's grab a couple YouTube questions and then let's call it a session.
Yeah, we won't have to hit the top tweets. Okay, YouTube questions. Anybody that's still out there has questions, we're going to scroll through.
So let me just go back a little bit. And
while you're doing that, Redman says Wyoming is all about taxes. From Wayne Morgan, any fear with IOHK contract almost over and continuing the project? For me, no. I've got a pretty reasonable probability, reasonable confidence that they will renew based off the concentration of knowledge that they have. Delays were expected. These delays, they don't surprise me. It does annoy me, but I go, well, it gives me more time to buy, I guess. There's always an upside.
Yes. This is a patience game. It's a long-term game. And this is written in the cards. None of this is going to be easy work. And if you made it this far, you deserve everything that you get once we go to the moon. And I think that if crypto is successful, Cardano will be one of the projects that is also successful. So that being said, that's not financial advice.
Yes. And there's Kirsty said at the bottom, Bitcoiner here. She's not upset about your comment. Pros and cons for both BTC and ADA. I agree.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. I do a lot of videos about like the problems with BTC and stuff like that, but there are problems with ADA as well. And I don't have anything against BTC. It's a great crypto, but I think that there are alternative solutions that are going to come that are going to prove a little bit more useful. You know, I've heard that the Lightning Network, the project has kind of been scrapped. So, or there's not a lot of progress going on with that. So a lot of the dreams that the Bitcoiner maximalists preach, they just may not come into fruition. And I don't think Bitcoin is going to be the one project that can do everything. So what it can't do, that's when projects like Cardano and other projects that are top tier projects come in and help.
Yeah. You know, what's interesting is Bitcoin Cash is extremely fast. I really like Roger Ver. If I could ever get the chance to have Roger Ver come on, I would love to have him come on here. And it'd probably piss a lot of people off, but you would learn something. And when you get angry, you learn stuff. And Bitcoin Cash has high speed. So Ethereum 2.0 is looking at something to do with Bitcoin Cash, taking care of the transaction speed problem. Same thing could happen for Cardano. The Bitcoin Core might look at it at some point and say, you know what, if we can plug into that Cardano network, we might be able to get a little bit more velocity and movement.
Yes.
It's possible. It's certainly possible. It doesn't mean that anybody's working on it, but it's certainly a possibility, especially if sharding works. And if anyone didn't know, we have sharding that's Orbos Hydra.
And we also talked about Nepo PALs. So that's going to help interoperability between Cardano and Bitcoin, allowing them to communicate in a way that both blockchains you can swap currency between both blockchains. So that's working. And Cardano's working on Nepo PALs on their end. IOHK is working on our end. So it's going to be other projects that are going to be using this technology in order to interoperate in the future. Because I don't see a lot of other projects doing this kind of research. But for us, it's about implementing. It's actually about getting the product out there so people just don't take the ideas and leapfrog us. So if we are researching and at the same time deploying, then we have a high chance of being very successful. If we're just researching without deploying, or we're missing our deadlines, then we can lose a little bit of market share. And while we won't go away, we need to make sure that we reach our potential. And this goes out to all the companies, Emergo, IOHK, and the Cardano Foundation. It's crunch time. It is crunch time.
It is crunch time. And it was well said before. This is a race for the winning protocol. And that it really is. It's a race for the winning protocol.
Yes.
Because, the time it takes to get to market, when you get to market, all that stuff is important. I mean, look at some of the things that are still in the market and have value. I can't even remember what they are, but I just go, why is that still around and worth it, what it's worth, not just in crypto, but in other areas of other markets is
Yes.
Whoever wins the market first. I mean, look how long it took for Apple to win back some market share from Microsoft.
Yes.
Because Microsoft just crushed them on marketing,
Yes,
and the same thing will apply to crypto, and the same thing will apply to everything else.
Hedge your bets. Hedge your bets. I notice a lot of people are a little bit bearish now on Cardano as far as just their timeline deliveries. And I understand people are investing their hard-earned money and they want to make sure that the project that they're investing in makes sense. So make sure you hedge your bets and your best information. I mean, Cardano is a A+ tier project to me, and I'm riding until the end. But if it's too much for you, or you don't feel as interested in the project anymore, there are other projects that are more comfortable. You can put your money in Bitcoin and, ride that wave, or do what makes sense to you. Do what makes sense to you. Here on the Cardano Effect, we're less about, we believe we know what's going to happen with Cardano. We have a vision for Cardano. It's not 100% guaranteed, but we have a vision. And, you need to figure out what your vision is and not be influenced by everyone else talking, all the other noise, right? We're trying to cover the news, the projects, and all the science that's going behind this project. And you can make an educated decision based on what makes sense for you. But make the correct decision and act, because if you don't play the game, you can't win the game. And don't be bitter in a couple years because you jumped out of a project and it went to the moon and you thought you just exited prematurely. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah. And I think we're about done here. I'm checking chat. I was checking chat while you were speaking on that.
Okay.
Yep. And I think we're pretty much done here, guys. We have hit our time. So we're going to wrap up this episode. And we very greatly appreciate your time and your inputs on this episode.
Yes.
We'll get a link out on the Cardano Effect subreddit so you can provide us feedback on this episode. Usually we put them out in advance, but this would be a real-time newscast, more so real-time community feedback is what we're trying to do here.
Yes. And so, Rick, I see this question a lot. I just wanted to quickly address it. Someone asked in the question, Diesel Hound, 1 million ADA enough? That's a gigantic bag, but I want to remind everyone that it's all subjective. You can't have someone else dictate what enough is for you. You have to set your goals, figure out what you think the potential of a project is. And, 1 ADA may be enough for you. 100 ADA may be enough for you. 1 million ADA may be enough for you, or 1 billion ADA may be enough for you. It's all subjective on the type of person and what you're using crypto for. Are you using it to augment your lifestyle? Are you using it for financial freedom? And using those metrics, you need to figure out what to invest. And that's for any project. It's not Cardano related. It's not financial advice. Whatever you do in life, you've got to be realistic about what you want out of the project. And there's always going to be someone with more money and always going to be someone with less money than you. So don't feel intimidated because someone has a bigger bag, because there's always people with smaller bags. Be content with what you have and figure out what makes sense for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Philippe, I'm going to sign off with one statement. I'm Pickle Rick. Someone in the chat asked me to say that. I'm Pickle Rick. I don't know where it came from. So there you go.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 37 of the podcast, the Cardano Effect podcast. We'd love to hear your feedback below. So if you enjoyed this live stream, we're going to try to do it more often. If not, please leave comments below too. We saw some negative comments in there too. If it's boring to you, not every episode is going to appeal to every single person. That's fine. We're not offended whatsoever. leave your critiques, leave your feedback. And once again, this is a free podcast that anyone can tune into. So be cognizant of that. And if it's not your cup of tea, then move on to the next episode or join us later. Maybe in the future, we may have something that may appeal to you. But that being said, everyone enjoy your weekend. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for joining us. This was a fun time. And reach out to us on Telegram, on Twitter. And Rick, we're going to sign off.
Signing off.
All right. Until the next episode of the Cardano Effect podcast. Bye, everyone.